Hi und herzlich willkommen hier zum Money, Business and the Universe Podcast, dem Podcast für ambitionierte Unternehmerinnen und Unternehmer, die jetzt ihr nächstes Business-Level erreichen wollen. Und das über persönliche Weiterentwicklung, gelebter Spiritualität und dem Umsetzen von smarten Business Moves. Mein Name ist Dr. Mareike Bruns. Ich bin Host dieser Show und deine Money Mindset und Business Coach für deine persönliche Weiterentwicklung und dein Unternehmenswachstum. Ich freue mich riesig, dass du heute wieder in diese Folge eingeschaltet hast und wünsche dir jetzt ganz viel Spaß mit der heutigen Episode. Ihr Lieben, hi und herzlich willkommen hier zum Money, Business and the Universe Podcast. Wir sind heute in Woche Nummer 3 unserer Love Season im August. Ich habe euch ja schon in der allerersten Folge erzählt, dass mich super viele Leute dieses Jahr danach gefragt haben, ob ich was zum Thema Love habe, zum Thema romantische Beziehungen. Da sind viele Leute auf mich zugekommen und so habe ich ja jetzt den Love August ins Leben gerufen. Und habe dazu auch einen Kurs entwickelt, nämlich den Worth It-Kurs, zu dem du dich auch noch anmelden kannst. Und freue mich jetzt riesig auf alles, was hier jetzt im August auch schon passiert ist, was wir jetzt gemeinsam machen und was in dieser wundervollen Zeit hier mit uns allen passiert und was das auch in uns zum Thema Relationship verändert. Ihr könnt euch außerdem nicht nur bei Worth It anmelden, sondern auch bei meinem wundervollen Coaching, das ab dem 15.09. beginnt, nämlich Essence, wo es um deine persönliche Essenz geht, wie du die in deinem Business lebst und auslebst und daraus neue Produkte und Neues für dein Leben gestaltest. Und wer damit dabei ist, ist in meinem Worth It-Kurs automatisch auch mit dabei. Alle Links dazu, ihr Lieben, findet ihr in den Shownotes. Heute für unsere dritte Woche habe ich einen ganz besonderen Gast mitgebracht, und zwar Ali Hendry. Ali ist meine Coach für Dating-Fragen und die hat mich über ein halbes Jahr gecoacht und sie ist eine absolute Expertin, was das Thema Relationship, Love und allem drum und dran angeht und dabei so eine wundervolle Person, eine fantastische Frau und sie bringt eine unglaubliche Expertise mit. Ellie lebt in UK, was bedeutet, dass wir dieses Interview gleich in Englisch machen werden, oder auf Englisch machen werden. Ihr findet aber in meinem Newsletter und oder in den Shownotes ein PDF, das das ganze Interview auf Deutsch übersetzt. Und jetzt starte ich, ihr Lieben, und sage, welcome, Ellie, here to my podcast episode. And thanks for waiting for the German intro.
Thank you so much. I got some words. I did a year of German at school, and some of it is still there. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction.
You're welcome. Ellie, who's Ellie?
Who am I? I run a coach training school that specializes in romantic relationship coaching and also inclusion coaching. And they blend so beautifully together because some of the topics we're going to be talking about today are how we look at relationships in different ways. So, not just sticking to the script and being creative and looking at things in different ways. So, I run a coach training school. I have my own clients as well. I work with individuals, I work with duos. I tend to use the phrase duos rather than couples because I work with different types of relationship, love styles, people who are monogamous and non-monogamous.
Mhm.
And I work with groups and organizations running training. I run training around diversity, equity, and inclusion in businesses. And what else? I write for Diva magazine, which is an LGBTQIA plus magazine for women and non-binary folk, which I love. And I run their weekly relationship room, which is on Instagram Live at Diva Magazine. And I have the absolute delight and joy of meeting different relationship experts each week and different topics. So when I did a TED talk about jealousy. I think that's about it. It's probably enough.
It's a lot. And this is what I love about you and your work so much, because you are so open with any topic and with everything, and you can come with every topic. This is what I really loved about also our coaching. I just told the audience in the beginning that you coached me. And what I loved was that every thought was welcome. It was not judged. It was welcome. And we looked at it and had a look of how do we want to work with that and what does that mean for you? And the topics that you just mentioned show how this unjudgmental attitude is definitely represented by all the work that you do and where you work in your personal genius, and that's lovely. That's lovely. As we have love and relationships and all the topics that I want to ask you today, my first question would be, Ali, what does love mean to you?
Oh, that's such a great question. And isn't it a question that has been asked throughout the ages?
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned my Diva Magazine Relationship Room Instagram Live, and at the end of every session, I have three questions that I ask each guest, and one of them is, what is love? And I have probably had about, well, I've been doing it for 6 years, once a week. So do the maths. There's hundreds of people that have answered that question. And there's always a different answer. There's always a surprising answer. I think a lot of people talk about it in terms of love being something that you do, an act, showing your love and making an effort. And I think for me, when I think of love, I think of that duality between self-love and loving others and putting those on the same level. Some people say, actually, no, you should prioritize self-love. You should be loving you. It's easier to love. If you love yourself, it's easier to love others. Or if others love you, it's easier for them to love you if you love yourself. I mean, yes and no, all of those things and none of those things.
Mm-hmm.
So when I think about love, I think about the love that I have cultivated for myself over the years and the love that I have for others being on equal footing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and it does show up for me. It shows up as a warmth and wanting to make an effort, wanting to an intent to make an intentional effort for my loved ones. And I enjoy thinking about different ways of loving people. There is a phrase called relationship anarchy that talks about having a friendship, relationships, romantic relationship, work, all your relationships are on the same level, relationship with self. So there isn't one that's prioritized over another. And I know we live in a world where there is a narrative that says we should prioritize being in a partnership. And if you're going to an event, of course, you're going to ask your partner to be your plus one. Or if you're going on holiday, of course, you're going to be going on holiday with your partner. What if you live in a world where you also have availability with taking your best friend? You go on holiday with a friend. You want to go to this place and your partner doesn't want to visit that place and your best friend does. What if it's okay for you to go on a week's holiday with a friend in the way that you might with a romantic partner as well? So I like the idea that love can be equitable, can be available without prioritizing one type of love over another. I'm a mum, as you know, and people say, oh, you're supposed the most amount of love you'll ever experience is for your child. Yes, that is sometimes true. And I am also, I love people in different ways. So to compare the love of my child to the love of a partner or the love of a parent or a friend is quite difficult to compare because it's different. It shows up so differently.
Yeah.
I don't know if that answers your question.
You did.
We've
Definitely.
gone somewhere.
We've gotten somewhere, definitely. But that it shows that love does not only has one side, and it's, I think, not really to be defined in one way, as different persons require different kind of love from you, and you give different kind of love, feel different kind of love for different person. And what I have found really interesting about your thoughts that you just shared is this hierarchy thing, because I think this is really much in our heads. Like, oh, we have to take the boyfriend with us or the girlfriend with us or whatever. And every time, I want to bring an example here because it fits very well. I have, for my birthday, I have a ritual, and that says every birthday I celebrate, I am on a different place on planet Earth where I've never been before. So, and it must be a place that I'm excited about and what I really love and what I want to do. And then all the people say, "Oh, but you do it every year alone." And I said, "Yes, I do it every year alone, and I love it." And then when I am dating men, or like, then they ask me like, "Oh, but you want your boyfriend then to come with you?" And I said, "No, I don't want him to come with me. I want to do that alone because I love to do it alone." And that has nothing to do with that I don't like the boyfriend. I mean, otherwise it would not be my boyfriend, or that I do not like my friends. I just enjoy being alone on my birthday, doing my thing, do some reflection work, do some goal work, or just enjoy a massage or whatever. And that's it. But I think that's so often in our heads, or what society requires, that you have to be with a friend, with a boyfriend, and this is the only way you are happy. And I'm like, no,
Yeah.
no, it's not.
It begs the question, what it sounds like people are afraid of being on their own.
Yeah.
And that makes sense because if we look at the capitalist society in which we inhabit, people want to put us into pairs and groups. They want to be able to sell us things. They want to be able to upscale things. And if you're doing something on your own, you are making such a conscious choice of what to do. I think it's a beautiful ritual. It's
Hmm.
an honoring of yourself and
Hmm.
saying, I am a growing human being and I want to put myself in a new environment each year, purposefully, intentionally, so that I can learn more about myself. That's what that's doing by visiting
Yeah.
different places. It's
Yeah.
allowing you to have an even stronger connection with yourself because you're seeing yourself in different environments.
Yeah. That was the most beautiful way to put it. Thank you so much. That was lovely.
I do think people are very afraid of being on their own
Yeah.
because they equate on your own with loneliness.
Yeah.
And yes, those two things do sometimes happen.
Yeah.
And also, there is a freedom with being on your own. I've had some amazing relationships over the year, absolutely beautiful relationships, and I've always followed the script of meeting them, falling in love, moving in together, and real long-term relationships. And now I don't feel the need to live with a partner anymore. I never thought I would feel this, but at the age of 57, this is exactly what I believe in. I
Mhm.
believe I can have as intimate, as connected relationships with people without sharing a space. And it's worked for me for the last ten years or so. It's absolutely worked for me, and I love it.
Yeah. I had a client, this story fits perfectly into what we were discussed so far. I have a client who asked me, like, hey, it's the first time in my life right now that I do a single vacation, like only with me. And I know you have some experience. Like, do you have any tips? And I said, my tip is like, love yourself and do whatever you want to do and enjoy it. She's like, oh my God, I'm so afraid. I say, listen, you do this vacation, and when you come back, you will record me a voice, and I can tell you what you will say me. That were the best holidays of my life. And like 10 days later, I got the voice, you were right. I was
Yes.
like, yes, enjoy
Yes.
it. There is something about being single that you should enjoy, and that is lovely. And I honestly speaking, I also love it. So, like, enjoy your life and enjoy being with your own, not lonely, but alone. And
Yeah.
that's lovely.
Humans are born for connection. So wherever you are, there will be a part of you that wants to connect with people, whether that's smiling at somebody who's serving you in a shop or sitting next to another table in a restaurant and starting a conversation with that person. You will be connected to people. And if you're a person who all of those sorts of things don't feel right for you and it doesn't fit in with who you are as a person, absolutely fine. You will also be connected to nature. You'll be connected to awe. I love this idea of awe, AWE, where you are enjoying a sunset or enjoying a scene or enjoying a meal. I mean, think of the different senses that we got, or you listen to this amazing bird song.
Mm.
you are, yeah, tasting this amazing meal or seeing this amazing sight. All of those things are you connecting with something
Yeah,
outside of you that's just beautiful.
it is. It is. And this also leads me to one of my next questions. Speaking about what society expects from me, what I think, what I should do, and so on, I often experience the following situation in my coachings. There are mostly entrepreneurs who work with me, like I would say 85%. And of course, as an entrepreneur, you have somehow a very different kind of life as you are not an entrepreneur. And I want to make a point here. There's when I say something like this, it's not judgmental. It's just like that the 2 days of being an employee or an entrepreneur, they just differ. It is like it is. And of course, when you are an entrepreneur, and most of my clients are female entrepreneurs, when you just have a different time schedule, and then they look for, then it's like when it comes to relationship, and the people are single or whatever, and ask me like, I ask them, how do you want to have it? And it's like, yeah, I want a husband, and I want the children, and I want a little house, and I want to live there, and la la la. And when they tell me that, I can already sense and feel that there is absolutely no spark in that. There is no genuine desire in that. There is no passion, no fire, no energy. It's just like what the protocol says. This is what you have to want. And of course, I'm not in the position to say, hey, this is not you. But with a lot of conversation that we have, most of the time, it turns out that this is not actually what they're looking for. But what actually they're looking for is maybe like have a relationship with a person who has the same life and where you can just have some quality time. Children actually not on the table, although everybody expects you to have children. And when they would really be honest, they would love to have the guy and just travel around the world. And then they're scared like, oh my god, what do all the other people say in my family and whatever. What is your advice when I realize that I have a desire that's maybe not really fitting in, um, to deal with that and to make you free of out of this judgmental thing that could happen, does not have to happen, but could happen?
Yeah, yeah. I can relate to what you're talking about, particularly when I have clients who are in their dating season and they're coming to me and they're discussing what they want, and it starts with the list of things. I think that list comes from dating apps. I think dating apps have done a number on us over the
Mm-hmm.
last few years as they've become more popular.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're useful. This isn't to put down dating apps. I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about it in a kind of cultural way.
Mm-hmm.
When we think about how dating apps work, they work on tick boxes. They're a quick and easy way of saying, I want children, I don't want children. I'm
Mm-hmm.
monogamous, I'm polyamorous, I'm whatever I am. I'm attracted to women, I'm attracted to non-binary. You have the ticks, the tick boxes. And so we become commodities. We
Mm-hmm.
become something that is buyable and
Mm-hmm.
also disposable because you have the swiping. Yes, no, yes, 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 no, no,
Mm-hmm.
no, 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 yes, no. It's so easy and it feels endless as well. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, some of the more successful dating apps, there are thousands of people being put in front of you day after day. So you feel like there is a non-ending amount of people available to you. And you can get overwhelmed with choice. It can feel like there is too much choice.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, there isn't, because as you've said, we're trying to get to the heart of what is it that you want from this relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's useful to have conversations up front, like at the moment, I am not thinking of having children ever.
Mm-hmm.
Or at the moment, I can't envisage living with a partner ever. So those kinds of things I think can be useful. I love what you're saying. It's far more interesting to be projecting into the future, to be with somebody who is inspired by what you do and you are inspired by what they do and you can work as a team, you might have completely different jobs. And also you have this energetic sense of, I want to grow, I want to learn. This world is too small at the moment. I want to make it bigger. I want to create a business that where I can flourish and grow and employ other people as well and give them their lives by me creating a business that's great for me and has earns for me and also helps others earn for themselves because they're going to be working for me. So I think with the work that we can do, coming to the root of what do I want starts with values. And there's an exercise that, in fact, I have a coaching community and we have I run 2 or 3 free webinars every month. And this week I ran a webinar where I was teaching people, other coaches, how to do the relationship values wheel, which is a bit like the life wheel. It's far more tailored to the individual. And you start by thinking about what are my values? And the way that you think about values is right for you. You know, we talked about earlier creating a non-judgmental space. What is a value to you? Well, you get to decide. I mean, you might decide that your values sound a bit like a company. So you might say trust and um, kindness. You know, you might have words and phrases which are great. Other people, you might decide my values are about how I relate to people. So a value could be um, I like to do one act of kindness a day. For someone else, a value might be tied into a particular emotion or a sense. So it's really up to you how you identify values. What values are doing are determining how you live your life, how you move forwards in life. So they could be a word, they could be a phrase, they could be a relational conversation with somebody. They could be animals. You know, my 5 animals, these are my values and they represent who I am and they're animals. So get creative. If you're an entrepreneur, you are creative. And also you are time bound and also you are able to manage time. I mean, people have different relationships with time. You talk about people who are neurodivergent. It may be that there are different relationships with how time passes. As an entrepreneur, you know that you are able to manage your time in a certain way that works for you. It might look chaotic to somebody else, but you can do that. So that's part of what you're bringing to a relationship. How much time, how much energy can I contribute right now to this relationship? How much of a priority am I willing to make this relationship? You know, sometimes we can be really scared about, I don't have enough time for this. I don't have enough time. I always say you do have enough time. It's about priorities.
Mm-hmm.
If something happened to somebody you loved and you had to spend 10 weeks in a hospital with them, you would find that time and your business would still run because you would suddenly get creative and you might bring someone else in to do certain parts of it. And you might think, why do I always spend
Mm-hmm.
6 hours of my week doing something that I just is pointless when I pare it right back? I don't need to do that shit.
Mm-hmm.
So why not think about that now? Why not think if I had to have, I don't know, maybe 10 weeks is too long. If I had to have 2 weeks in a hospital by somebody's side, what would I let go of? My business would still run. What would I let go of? And that can be, those sorts of scenarios can be really interesting to explore how you are running your life.
Yeah. This is, by the way, that's so funny. I mean, a lot of relationship topics have so much in common with money topics. And this is the question that I always ask when somebody says to me, I have absolutely no money for that. And then I ask the super uncomfortable question, if there would be something with your child and that would cost 6,000 euro, would you be able to manage 6,000 euro? I definitely would. And I said, listen, and now nothing happens and you're still able to manage 6,000 euros. So let's go.
Yes. Yes.
It's like for example. And you were so right. You were so
Yeah.
right with that.
It's the same with animals, so,
Yeah.
some people who don't have children, I mean, I think animals are family. I've always felt animals, and I know that's a controversial topic for some people. If your animal was really ill and you suddenly had to take them to the vets and find 2 grand, you would find 2 grand. I agree, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's the
Yeah.
same.
For coming out of this, like I love the value wheel. We did this also together. I really love that exercise. Um, how can relating to my values and also relating to the questions, how much time do I have for this and so on, does help us to free ourselves a little bit more from the fear of judgment of other people for the lifestyle that we have or live or want to live.
Yeah. I heard a brilliant question, and I might be slightly paraphrasing it, and I wish I knew who the source was. What does your 8-year-old person, 8-year-old you need? And what does 80-year-old you need?
Mm,
Do you want to get to 80? My mum's 86 and she has an amazing life. Yes, she has a lot of medical conditions and she's losing her sight, and she's a photographer. So sight for her is the way that she enjoys the world so much.
mm,
And she's an absolute inspiration to me. We speak every week. We spoke earlier today, and I get so much from her. And she has made choices throughout her life that people haven't liked and haven't enjoyed. And she is so happy with her choices and has had to work through that discomfort. So if you're at a point where you're thinking, I mean, there's a whole other topic about people pleasing. Of course, there is, particularly as you said, a lot of your clients are women or people who were socialized as women as they were growing up. And so we are certainly, I can relate to being of service to others. We had this phrase in our family, which is called family hold back. So you are the last one to go. It's the guests and everyone else goes first. And the men folk go first as well. So we're used to putting ourselves second. Some of the I need to make a choice for me and I'm going to annoy other people harks back to past you. And as you know, as coaches, we're not therapists, so we're not looking at the past. We're not climbing into that inner child work. We're actually saying, how is that showing up for you now? What are the things that you are doing now that no longer serve you? When you've got the voice in your head that says, what you really want to go out with this person and they are completely unsuitable, and the rest of your family is going to say, what is this person adding to your life? They're adding absolutely nothing. They're of no value. They haven't got a job. They're this, they're that, they're whatever. And you're thinking, yes, but I want to be with this person. This is my choice. What's the voice? Let's describe the voice, because this is what coaching is so brilliant at doing. It looks at the reality of the now.
mhm.
What's the tone of voice? How loud is that voice? Is it a woman's voice? Is it a man's voice? Is it indeterminate? Is it tell me the energy as that voice in your head is saying you shouldn't do this. What conversation do you want to have with that person with that voice in your head? What narrative is it deciding? Because right now you're basing your decisions on the future of what they might say, of what
Mm,
might happen. They won't, family events in the future that my partner will be ignored because nobody will have anything in common with them. You're making a decision on your life now based in the future. That may happen. And also that may not happen. So you have a choice to decide whether you focus on the thing that might happen
yeah,
or might not happen.
yeah. That's such a great way of thinking it. What does your 8-year need old and the yeah, I love it. I have a question, or not a question, but a phrase that plays into that. And I ask my clients, like, who of those persons who you think that could have an opinion or whatever will be at your funeral and say thank you for not doing it or for playing it safe? Nobody. And the other question is, I always ask them, do you know what your great great mother had for a job? No, I don't know. I think I said, and your great great children will even not know. So Like
Yeah.
just live your life.
Yeah.
But this is such a great question. I think I will steal it from you.
Have it. It's your, I stole it from someone else,
Yes.
so absolutely have it.
I
Yeah.
really love that one.
Yeah. And these are legacy conversations. These are
Yeah.
conversations that are about really, truly inhabiting the world that you live in, not sitting there as life passes you by. And you work with people who are making things happen. They're entrepreneurs. They're
Mm,
out there. They're taking risks
yeah.
with their lives. And
Mm,
this is what I think is so interesting. Sometimes you find that people who are really successful in one part of their life, whether that's
mm,
relationships or work, and
mm,
then they're not doing as great in the other part of their life, whether that's relationships or work.
yeah.
And what I say in the coaching space is the elements of the stuff that's working, take one of those elements and put it into the other area and see what happens. Because you're good at it. You know, it might be that you're good at inspiring people in work. You're a great role model, you're a great leader. And in your home life, you're the one that always has to do all the household chores and you never speak up about it. And you're doing, as we know, the stats are there when it comes to women and men in relationships. When both men and women are working, it is still the women that are 80% more likely to be doing more work at home, even though people are equally working the same amount of hours that they're getting
Mm,
paid for. So there's a lot of additional labor. So if you're great at being that leader in the workplace, what qualities have you got as a leader in the workplace? How are you going to bring them into your home environment where you are managing your home as well, where you are a leader of sorts in your home? Take those skills and try them out because you're good at them and we're going to transfer them into a new environment.
yeah. Yeah, that's such a great way of thinking. I'm so happy that I invited you today.
I was so happy when you reached out to me because I love working with you. You are such a wonderful, beautiful, energetic person. The energy that you have is just great. So it's just lovely having time with you. It feels like a luxury having some time with you.
That's really nice of saying of you. Thank you so much. And I really enjoyed the conversation. Ali, I would love to go to a kind of different topic right now because this question is really one that I definitely want to ask you because this comes up very often, especially when one of my clients is an entrepreneur, was beforehand an employee, married the person he or she is married to, and they both met when both were employees. Now she's developing, or he is developing, most of the time that a woman with a coach, so I use she. Okay, she's now going to be an entrepreneur, and the husband is looking like, okay, what's happening here, or does not understand the way, and saying things like, I think this coaching stuff is not working. It's not good for you. I don't want you to put the money in there. Or do you really want to do this risky thing of entrepreneurship and whatever? And there was conversation about the personal development of the partner and the other partners maybe criticizing it or something like that. I in different kind of stories, in different kind of frames, I hear that quite often. What would be your advice or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's a great situation to discuss. And two things came up for me while you were explaining that situation. One was judgment and how that is showing up because we've got a situation where I think it goes back to the values where the values are misaligned and you are there's a mismatch. There's judgment saying
Mm,
there's judgment there and lack of understanding that for me, personal development, this is what I'm doing, this is how I'm growing myself. And the other person is saying, well, you don't need that. And as you've said, the gender that we're talking about tends to be the man saying, well,
mm,
I'm just doing it on my own. I'm just getting on with it.
mm,
Whereas you are using a community, you're using a coach, you're using a program. If we look at gender, then we can see why there might be that mismatch because the man is grown, has been conditioned to be autonomous, to go out there and to strike their way, and to, we know that there's statistics about men applying for jobs and women applying for jobs, and men will apply for jobs that they can do 40% of the job, whereas women need to feel that they could do 90% of the job before they'll apply for it. So we know that there's lots of differences when it comes to gender, and some amazing studies around that. Whereas the woman in the description you're talking about is more community based. That should be okay for those, for that awareness. If we're thinking actually that's how me as a woman, someone who's grown up as, conditioned, socialized as a woman, in that space, I need community, I need support. That's how I operate. Whereas you as a man, you've grown up in this way of the solitary, and I'm going to do it and strike out. And you have different connections, and I see how you are with your friends, and I see how I am with my friends, and we use our friendships in different ways, and that's okay.
Mm.
So coming to a place of understanding without judgment, I think, is a good one. On a completely side note, and I don't know where this thought came from while you were describing it, I was also thinking about attraction. And
Yeah.
the reason that I was thinking that is because when new things come on board, so like you said, we started the same, we were both driven, and now I'm in this direction and using these support methods, and you're kind of where you're at. Perhaps I'm moving ahead and leaving you behind a little bit. And again, it could be either gender or any of the genders we're talking about. We're talking, non-binary folk as well, transgender. We can lose attraction. We can be less attracted to our partners if we're thinking, well, they're not growing in the way that I'm growing.
Yeah.
And if that's coming up for you, there is absolutely a conversation to be had around attraction and the way that attraction shows up. People have different types. I run webinar, and it's part of my ICF relationship coach diploma. One of the syllabus topics is on attraction. There are different ways that attraction can show up. There's aesthetic, some people might be the physical attraction. Some people olfactory attraction. It's about smells. That's really turns them on. Some of them it's about that person's brain, and that's the real attraction. They're sapiosexual, so they're attracted by how that person's brain is,
Mhm.
and a whole load of other ways of being attracted. So if actually it's impacting your relationship in a way that is making you detach, that's where we need to have those difficult conversations. We mentioned right at the beginning love, and I think I'd like to add on to my definition of love. Love is being prepared to have the difficult
Yeah,
conversations.
for sure. For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
I really loved I loved everything what you said, but especially a few things that I also bring to the table when people ask me something like this. I think like most of the topics are very much related to avoid a heavy conversation. I have one example in mind. There was a woman who was actually supported by her husband in doing all her entrepreneurial work. But the husband was like, okay, when you make money, let's organize the money in this kind of investment and this ETF, and let's put it in the house and let's put it like this and do it. And he was organizing it. And she was like, Mareike, when I'm really honest with you, one of the main reasons why I want to make more money is because I want to have a pedicure and I don't want to put it in all the ETFs or whatever. And she said, I honor him for that so much. And I see that he wants to provide, but can't he see that I just want to have my own car and want to have my pedicure? And I said, how was the conversation that you had about it? And she said, I never told it. I like, it will explode. And there was this tension between them for a month. Can you imagine? For a month because of this unspoken words. And I said to her, like, I think you should free yourself and maybe this evening you two have a kind of conversation. Turns out the conversation was 10 minutes. And she said, I just, you know why I'm always so angry when you tell me about your plans? Because you never see that I just want to have like wellness pedicure. What I just use pedicure for
Yeah.
like
Yes. Yeah.
metaphorical senses. And you just don't see that. And he said, "Why did you never say it to me?" And she said, "Because I thought you think that's ridiculous." And he said, "No, just tell me."
Yeah.
And he was telling her that he comes from a background where he grew up in a very poor family, and he does not want it for his family, and this is why he is so conscious about the money. And she
Mm.
said, "I understand that." It was 10 minutes, and I was like, 10 minutes, and she was like, "Now I feel so awkward because I
Yeah.
just didn't do." And here's the thing, and that leads me to the other thing that I find so interesting. The thing is, when I feel a judgment about my own behavior, I see it and project it in my outer world. So there was also a judgment of her, like, I can't just use it for pedicure.
Yeah.
And she projected it on her husband, who never said that this is a thing, but in her mind it was a thing. And then she realized it was just my own story that I put around my world. And there is a lot that can be done with with these conversations, what you just told me. And I think the clearer I am and the more judgment I take away of myself and my own behavior because of my desires, which I think are always God given, because when it's a desire, why should it be from, like, why should I not go for it? Then I should clear my path first and then see what's happening in my marriage, in my partnership, whatever you are living right now. And I think that's so healthy, and you can really heal something inside of you, because it's great to see how we ourselves can do 90% of the work and see how it always reflects in the outer world. Yeah, I
Yes.
love what you just said.
Yeah. Yeah. And we invest so much time and energy in avoiding doing the thing.
Yeah,
And more often than not, the thing is never as bad.
yeah,
It's never as bad. And
yeah,
I love what you say about the story that she'd created. It was kind of, she was thinking it's frivolous. And actually,
yeah,
when I've just finished reading a brilliant book, We Should Be Millionaires by Rachel Rodgers. And one of the things that Rachel talks about is when we are moving, upscaling our businesses and moving into earning the bigger money, the reason we're doing it is because we want to buy time. We want to have more freedom in our day. We want to be
yeah,
able to allow others to support us and get good at delegating so
yeah,
that we have more time, so that we can put our kids to bed or go on holiday impromptu for 3 days in a row, just because all of those things are about us being able to afford time in our week.
yeah, yeah. It's true. It's true.
I've always said that my mental health and well-being is part of my business plan. Me going to the gym, me going for a run, meditation, yoga, journaling, all of those things are part of my business because I am my business.
Yeah,
If I am not well enough, I can't be the coach that I want to be. And so those things are part of my business plan.
yeah, yeah. I had a conversation with a client around that, and that's so cool, because when you realize that, normally your business is upscaling because your energy is higher, and that's really lovely and super cool.
Mm.
Um, when both partners are entrepreneurs, this is something that I also often observe. What do you think is the best way to create space for each other and each other's um, growth and dreams and goals without being judgmental or triggered? Or, I mean, you are always kind of, I think, judgmental or triggered by something, of course. I mean, we're all human beings, but the best way we can do it, what would you think is a great way to support each other?
There's a great psychological term called differentiation that discusses the paradox of when you're in a relationship, the importance of being connected with your partner and also being separate. So knowing that you have this connection and also knowing that you are an autonomous human being that can make your own decisions. So I think in that situation, it's making sure everything's about balance. A lot of what we coaches talk about is about balance, isn't it? Whatever your niche is as a coach, balance comes in some way because we're not islands. We don't just have one thing going on in our lives. We have romantic relationships, we have family issues, we have dramas that appear. So, whatever topic you're going to a coach for, other parts of your life are going to show up. And so, balance is really important: work life balance, relationship balance, time with self. I think it comes down to the scenario that you're describing is about being interested in the other person. And they may do a job that is completely boring and uninteresting. And also, that it's exciting for them. You know that it sparks them up. So look for how it impacts them. Esther Perel, who's a psychotherapist working in relationships, talks about this brilliant definition of desire. And she says, desire, you desire someone the most when they don't need you. And I don't mean in a kind of game playing way in terms of, oh, I really want this person because they keep rejecting me. I mean, as in when they are in their power, then you find them really attractive. So an example would be perhaps you have a partner who plays a musical instrument and they're playing that instrument and you're watching them play that instrument and you are in awe of them playing that instrument. They don't need you at all. They are connected with the instrument, they're generating this beautiful sound, you're enjoying the sound, and you're watching this person be in that moment, be in flow, as we say as coaches. They are truly in flow and they don't need you. They might even have forgotten that you're in the room listening to them. That is where you feel so much attraction for that other person. They don't need you and they are in their power. So if we take that into this scenario where you've got two people and they're really busy and they've got a lot going on, different professions, and we say, actually, let me see what lights you up. Let me ask you, not how was your day? Think of some other amazing questions like what was what brought you joy today? What made you laugh out loud today? In work today, where did you feel like you wanted to just fist pump and go, yes? Share that moment where that happened rather than, oh, how's the meeting? Oh, have you got any new people that have joined your program? That's all data. Let's go deeper than that. Let's ask investigation questions. Let's ask questions that tell me more about who you are as a person, not what you did that day.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. I have a personal question around that that's just coming up, and maybe someone can relate to this. First of all, I love those questions and how we can create space for each other and to see, like, not how can we bring our partner to the best results ever. I mean, of course, sure, if this is the goal, but like also ask, like, what would light you up in that? Like, what's the thing that makes your heart beating? Like, I love that. I really love
Yeah.
that. What if one partner is take the music example. Like, let's say one part is super interested in music and the other one is super interested in sports, and everybody just does his or her thing, but it's not quite. It's not like there's no how do you call it? Like,
Crossover.
yeah, crossover. Thank you, crossover. And now one person, like the music person, is talking constantly about the music and ask questions the other person about music who has absolutely no thing to do with music. What would you what is your advice? Because like when it's not like, oh, I just tell you about something what lights me up, but it's just like music, 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 music,
Mm,
and there is nothing other than the music.
yeah.
How could you handle that situation without blaming the person for his or her interest in music? Do you understand what I'm talking
I
about?
do.
Yeah.
Valid, boring. I mean,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah.
Let's talk about something else for a while.
Yeah.
I think what came to me while you were asking that question was it is okay to have things that are completely separate. Like we said earlier, your partner will have friends who are
Yeah.
music nerds and they
Mhm.
can nerd out about all of the conversations to
Yeah.
do with nerds, to do with music. If that is the case, we do need to find those crossover topics. We do need to find those common ground activities.
Yeah.
And that could be something completely random that is nothing to do with the music and is nothing to do with the other interests that the other person has got. When I look at the successful relationships that I'm working with, because it's not just people coming to me who are in distress or have got a big change coming up or a big challenge. People also come to me for upkeep, relationship upkeep. They want to be able to do monthly check-ins and to make
Mm.
sure that things are in heading in the direction that they want to head in
Mhm.
as a unit. Because when you think about couples, you've got each of the individual people, their lives, and you've got the relationship as a third entity as well. So you've got to
True.
caretake all of those entities.
True.
So people who are coming to me and they're doing really well. They are constantly choosing activities to do where they're both learning something new together because you're out of your comfort zone. You're seeing, particularly if you've been together for a very long time, you're seeing a different side to your partner that you may have never seen before as you learn this new thing. And the new thing you're learning could be something, it could be watching a YouTube video. It doesn't mean signing up for a
Mm.
12-week adult education course every
Mm.
every Thursday evening. It doesn't have to, but it can be
Mm.
that. Choosing something that it could be learning a language together. Choosing something that you are both, it could be you want to visit a country and you're both going to be doing research around that new country and sharing some of the things that you'd like to do in that country. So it can be anything where you want a shared learning journey together and you can learn something new about each other. That's
Mm.
something that really works. Another area that I don't think we talk about enough is rituals, having relationship rituals.
Mhm.
They can really bond you and hold you together. And some examples of that might be I remember this beautiful couple that I worked with for a while. And every evening they had a ritual where they would ask each other a question about their day. And it wasn't allowed to be one of those, how was your day? Or
Mhm.
that it had to be a creative question. And so what they would do during their days, they would be thinking about what's the question I'm going to ask that evening. So
Mhm.
they're already thinking beautiful, nourishing ideas. What gift can I give my partner to find out more about them and for them to have a really quite crazy or quirky or creative question
Mhm.
that evening? And busy lives, children, entrepreneurs, etc. And also they have this little nugget of connection
Yeah.
every day and they know they're going to do it and it's at the end of the day just before they're going to bed and they ask the question each of each other. I do with my daughter. We have three things at the end of every night. I always say to her, what are your three favorite things of the day? And it's just a beautiful little thing. We do it automatically. Sometimes they're really superficial things, sometimes they're random things, sometimes they're silly things. It doesn't matter. Those rituals hold you in love.
Mm. Definitely. I love that. I love that so much. This ritual thing, there's so much value in that. I do something like that with my clients on every Saturday. It's called Dankbarkeitssamstag. The translation is being thankful on Saturdays. And we always, like every week, we all put together in our group where are we thankful for? And what I get so often as a feedback is like the most beautiful thing was this being thankful on Saturday thing because we came together. We had a thing that builds community. That's so lovely. I love that.
Yeah.
Circling around a little bit back to again to the it's music topic or whatever and or however this kind of thing shows up in your relationship. What would you say is having a boundary here or like setting boundaries is something that plays in here with the whole story?
Yeah. Yeah. It's successful relationships are those where individuals understand boundaries and are able to practice them. It is a practice and are able to maintain them. Sometimes when we're thinking about setting a boundary, we front load all the work and we think about how we're going to talk about the boundary and sell the boundary to the other person and say what's going to happen. And then we forget that we also need to maintain the boundary. And if we're not looking at how do I, because it's not one and done. You can't just say, right, this is what's going to happen, and then the other person changes. It doesn't work like that. So being ready for the knockback, if you like, and being able to keep doing it. When I think about boundaries, I like to use imagery, and I always use the image of a field. You are in your field, and your fence is around you as you stand in your field, and that fence is your boundary. That fence says what your yeses are, what your nos are, what your maybes are. Who gets to come into your field, you decide. Meanwhile, your partner is standing in their field. They have a fence around them. They get to decide what are their yeses and their nos and their maybes. So boundaries and rules quite often get confused. A boundary is set and maintained by you.
Yeah.
It's not imposed on somebody else. It's set and maintained by you.
Yeah.
So in the incident of this hypothetical person who is banging on and on and on about music
Mm.
all the time, and you're just like so over it, you might say, I'm really interested in hearing about what you're working on with your music. I wonder if we could bracket that time. And then the other person is able to do that or is not. If they say, well, no, I'm just going to talk about it as and when. So they're already going against your initial offering of, can we bracket some time? So maybe when we're having dinner together, that's when we talk about the music. At other times we don't. So you save it up for that time. If they're kind of like, no, I'm going to do it at any time, that's when you would have to set your consequence. And that consequence is set and maintained by you. You are not telling the other person what to do. You are telling the other person what you will do. That's the consequence. That's the difference. If it's a rule, you're telling them what to do. If it's a boundary, you're telling them what you will do. So you might say, okay, great. I'm hearing what you're saying. It's not going to be possible for us to bracket time around talking about music. When you start a conversation, I will be removing myself from that room.
Yeah. Got it.
And then you have to do it. That's the
Yes.
difficult bit. Then you have
That
to actually do it.
I just wanted to say that because that's the difficult thing that you have to do in that moment, like holding your own consequence.
Yes.
Like I just go. I'm not going to do that. But there is so much freedom and freeing when you do it. It's just like the first time. And then people see, okay, it's really not okay what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
And that's cool. Oh my God.
And there is going to be a pushback. And I think if we accept a pushback and we mitigate for it, we
Hmm.
can help ourselves. So if we think they are probably going to kick off, they are going to say, you're so rude, just walking away from me.
Yeah.
And you're not, because you've told them that's the consequence. You've told them what's going to work for you, and you are enacting it. So being ready for the pushback and the name calling, if that's what's going to come, being ready for guilt. So the Hayley Page McGee does a whole load of work around boundary work, and she talks about boundary guilt,
Mm.
where I feel really guilty setting this boundary. I feel like, I'm being selfish. So we're back to people pleasing
Mm.
again. We're back to
Mm.
these stories that
Hmm.
we've created. Actually, what you're doing is you are allowing the person to love the true version of you, not the version that you feel you should be for them.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love that so much. This is something that I say often to my clients, especially in also in business context. Like, do you really want people to love a version of you that it's not really you? And do you think this is really because the thing is that we think this is unselfish, but actually it's the most selfish thing that you can do because you're just avoiding a hard thing. And like, do you really want to be that selfish and not like loving yourself and just show them who you are? And that's such a loving, wonderful
Yeah,
thing.
it is.
Ellie, I could really have one more hour with you. We're talking nearly 1 hour now, like 58 minutes. That's insane. I could have a conversation with you like 2, 3, 4 hours, but I think we
Me
should
too. I
we
love
should
this.
come to an end.
We'll have to have a part two.
Definitely, definitely. We should do together a seminar. This is called Money and Love, where we put all the relationship things to romantic and money relationships together.
Absolutely. And you know what
Yeah.
I would love? I would love to do a Q&A. I would love your listeners and your community to listen to this podcast and to then give questions that you and I then work through. Because I
Yeah.
think we both have similarities and differences with how we approach topics. And I think that could be so interesting to actually say to people, give us 10 questions and we'll go through those questions and you will get an opportunity to find the answer that fits for you.
Yeah. That's cool. So everyone who has a question, let's give it to us. Or send it to me, send it to Ali, and we will have a Q and A. I would love that. I love that
Let's do
idea.
it.
Let's do it. That's cool. Let's do that. Let's see how we put that together. That's cool. One last question. You just mentioned a wonderful and lovely ritual with your daughter, three things that were lovely and cool about the day. What were three things in terms of love that you just experienced recently that you really loved?
Oh, hmm. I have got a really, I've got really good friends. I've got a really close, not a huge amount of friends, and
Mhm.
we're all very loyal. And I went on holiday for 4 days with my friend and her 5-year-old son, and we went and visited her mum up north in Scarborough, and had a great time. And I came back earlier because I had to come back for work, and they're still up there staying with her mum. And her son said to grandma, as in my friend's mum, her son said to grandma, "Oh, Ali's part of my family." And her mum said, "No, no, no, the grandmother said, "No, no, no, I'm the grandmother, and this is your mother, and that's your family." And the 5-year-old said, "No, because Ali has chosen to be part of my family, and that's more important."
Oh my God. I love that.
This is a 5-year-old. I mean, he is very emotionally intelligent. This is a 5-year-old. So that is just one beautiful, loving moment. I love my friends, and they love me, and we're very close. So that one, love. The feeling seen in my when I'm powered down. When
Mhm.
I'm powered down, I have no energy. I've talked myself out all day. I have nothing left, and I am a little pile of fluff on the
Mhm.
sofa.
Mhm.
And knowing that that's okay.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
I don't need to be anyone or be
Mhm.
anything or
Mhm.
do
Mhm.
anything.
Mhm.
And then the third, I mean, animal love. My cat.
I love
My
that.
cat is so I put a little chair in a new place in my flat. And obviously anyone who has cats think that everything you do in your house is for them. So my cat went and sat on this chair like that chair was put there. And then I went over and just saw this little snuggled up cat and just got this look of thank you from the cat. And I know it's a cat. I also think that there is a spiritual connection with animals that we sometimes discount. Children have it. When you see children with animals, they have that spiritual connection, and I think we lose it as adults. So I think feeling loved by my cat.
Yeah, I
Let's
can.
go with a random one.
Yeah, I love that. But yeah, I mean, is it random? Because love is love, and you can experience in the most random experiences. I love that with the animal. I experienced that this year a lot with a dog. And this dog is it's not my dog. I do not have any animals at home, but it's a dog from a very good friend of mine. And he is like when I want to leave, he came into my bed and he's just like putting his whole body on me, like you stay here, or taking my shoes away, and it's hiding in his little blanket so that I can't put on my shoes and go away and something. And I was like, oh my God, how lovely is that?
Adorable. Adorable.
Ellie, it was amazing to talk with you. It was such a lovely interview. If people would love to find you and love to work with you, where can we find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn, so Ali Hendry on LinkedIn. You can find me on my website, which is alihendry.co.uk. And you can find me on Instagram, which is Ali Hendry Coaching.
Yes. So for all of you who are listening today or during this week, we will also link Ali everywhere where we can link her. So you will definitely find her, and I really can recommend to have a coaching with her. It was a really great time being coached by you. So I definitely recommend a coaching with you. That is and was amazing.
Thank you so much. And I have space for two people. So if people are interested in getting some one-to-one coaching, then we can explore whether we are a good match.
Yes, great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And it was lovely to talk with you. Thank you.
You too. An absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me into your podcast. I'm so excited that I get to be here.
Of course, you're welcome. Du Liebe, das war die aktuellste Folge im Money, Business and the Universe Podcast. Ich freue mich riesig, dass du hier wieder eingeschaltet hast. Freue mich auf dich nächste Woche, wenn es eine neue Episode gibt hier im Podcast. Und wenn du gerne mit mir zusammenarbeiten möchtest, dann findest du alle Links mit Kontaktdaten und wichtigen Informationen hier in den Shownotes. Mir bleibt jetzt wie am Ende einer jeden Podcast-Folge nur noch zu sagen, egal an welchem Projekt du gerade dran bist, bleib unbedingt dran und ich wünsche dir unendlich viel Erfolg dabei. Alles Liebe zu dir, deine Mareike.